Hi, I'm James Ezimoha. You're watching AnewZ Weekend. Here are your top stories. South Korea's President Yoon impeached after failed attempt to impose martial law. Georgia holds presidential election amid protest. Mikhail Kavalishvili becomes president of the country. Over 1.1 million Syrians displaced since late November amid severe humanitarian crisis. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached on Saturday. The vote followed his brief and unsuccessful attempt to impose martial law early in December. A new election must be held within 60 days if a new president is dismissed and resigns.
South Korea's opposition-led parliament impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol on Saturday, voting to suspend him from his official duties over his short-lived attempt last week to impose martial law. Protesters gathered outside South Korea's National Assembly early today, demanding accountability from President Yoon Suk-yeol. The controversy erupted after President Yoon attempted to impose martial law on December the 3rd, a move he rescinded just 6 hours later. However, it has thrown the country into a constitutional crisis. In a speech on Thursday, Yoon defended his actions, calling the decree necessary to overcome political deadlock and safeguard the nation's democracy. Despite his justifications, critics accuse him of abusing his power and violating the law. At the same time, today, a pro-Yoon protest is taking place in Seoul to show support for the embattled president. Yoon Suk-yeol vowed not to give up and said he would do his best until the last minute for the country.
Georgia has a new president. Former football player and politician Mikhail Kavalishvili has secured the presidency, raising questions about the country's political direction.
Mikhail Kavalishvili received 224 out of 300 electoral votes, securing his position as Georgia's 6th president. His inauguration is set for December 29. A former Manchester City striker and a founding member of the People's Power Group, Kavalishvili has made headlines for his strong anti-Western rhetoric. In the past, he accused the opposition of following U.S. instructions to destabilize Georgia and claimed American officials were plotting to spark a revolution. Backed by the ruling Georgian Dream Party, his election was seen as a foregone conclusion, as the party dominates the electoral college. The role of the Georgian president is largely symbolic, with limited powers, such as issuing pardons and vetoing laws. His election is all but assured, as the Georgian Dream dominates the electoral college of members of parliament and local government representatives. Kavalishvili will succeed Salome Zurabichvili, who has openly criticized the government for derailing Georgia's EU's aspirations and denounced the recent parliamentary elections as fraudulent.
And now our correspondent from Tbilisi, Leila Rahimli, has more on the latest developments following the elections in Georgia and the situation in the capital.
Good evening. I'm reporting from Tbilisi, where tensions remain high amid ongoing protests and significant political developments. For the 17th consecutive day, thousands of Georgians have gathered on Rustaveli Avenue outside the parliament building, demanding new parliamentary elections. Adding to the unrest today, the Georgian parliament elected Mikhail Kavalishvili as the new president of Georgia with 224 votes. The ruling party held this victory as a step toward unity and stability. However, opposition, current President Salome Zurabichvili, and tens of thousands of citizens are rejecting this process, calling it illegitimate. Today, protests were marked by heavy police presence and rising tensions until an hour ago. Protesters were prevented from approaching the parliament building. President Salome Zurabichvili joined the protest on Rustaveli Avenue, demanding to enter the fenced-off area of the Christmas tree. Her arrival coincided with Tbilisi Mayor Kaha Kaladze's decision to postpone the tree lighting ceremony. Speaking to journalists, Zurabichvili states, "Everyone stay calm, nothing will happen tonight, we will all be together." Meanwhile, Tbilisi Mayor Kaladze, who cancelled the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, accusing the opposition of using the event for political purposes, and said the lightning could only take place when the radical opposition stops obstructing children. For now, this is the situation here in Tbilisi. I will continue to bring you updates as the story develops. And this is Leyla Rahimli reporting from Tbilisi, AnewZ.
France woke up on Saturday to a new prime minister. President Emmanuel Macron appointed François Bayrou after his predecessor, Michel Barnier, was ousted by parliament.
François Bayrou accepted the position of prime minister on Friday, over a week after former prime minister Michel Barnier was pushed out following a no-confidence vote in the National Assembly. He was opting to bypass parliament to push through a contentious social security budget. Bayrou's priority will be to steer the country out of its political crisis and negotiate with the opposition to agree on the 2025 budget. The 73-year-old acknowledged the difficulty of the task.
I believe that this question of deficit and debt is a question which poses a moral problem, not just a financial one, but a moral one, because getting rid of burdens by passing them on to your children in countries like ours, with our mountain villages and rooted communities, it is very badly seen. Faced with such a serious situation, my course of action will be to hide nothing, neglect nothing, and leave nothing aside.
Meanwhile, some local residents are expressing disappointment over French President Emmanuel Macron's latest pick.
Honestly, it's really nothing new. It really seems like it's the old resumes being brought back. It's super disappointing. I think it's very disappointing because we really expected something different from the part of the president, rather than putting a series of old men as head of the French government, as prime minister. So yes, it is a big disappointment.
I was expecting former Prime Minister Bernard Cazeneuve. It's not a surprise, so it follows the same trajectory from past years since Macron arrived at the Élysée Palace. It's not a good surprise, but it's not maybe the worst that we could have expected, considering how politics is veering to the right.
François Bayrou is Macron's fourth prime minister this year. It remains to be seen whether the new appointee can survive until at least July 2025, which is the earliest possible date to hold fresh legislative elections.
Activists gathered in Paris for the International Day Against Colonialism, commemorating the adoption of the United Nations Resolution 1514 in 1960, which called for decolonization or independence for colonized nations. The event featured speeches, banners, and flags representing Algeria, Lebanon, Comoros, Western Sahara, and New Caledonia, among others. Participants addressed the ongoing consequences of colonialism and the growing challenges posed by neocolonialism, such as political instability, social inequality, and economic exploitation. The gathering underscored the urgency of dismantling colonial structures and fighting neocolonialism to build a just and equitable future. Organizers called for global solidarity to support regions still struggling with the legacies of colonial rule. Over 1.1 million Syrians have been displaced since November 27. That's according to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. Civilians, including women and children, are seeking shelter in temporary facilities and are reportedly facing severe food shortages and movement restrictions.
1.1 million displaced Syrian civilians are reported to be under tough conditions. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports that nearly 640,000 of the displaced fled from Aleppo province, 334,000 from Idlib province, and 136,000 from Hama province. These areas are facing great challenges which deprive civilians from their basic needs. Northern Aleppo is facing severe food shortage along with insufficient water supplies, leaving people desperate of two key resources for survival. Bakeries are shutting down due to a severe shortage of flour. Power outages are frequent, leaving thousands without basic needs and leading the already fragile area to a bigger desperation. Meanwhile, in Damascus, the country's capital, uncertainty is growing. Currency depreciation, surging food prices, and the collapse of transportation systems have worsened the situation of residents. Carl Skau, Deputy Executive Director of the UN World Food Programme, warned in an interview that Syria might face enormous humanitarian needs in the near future, adding that the UN's focus will shift towards supporting Syria's recovery and reconstruction in the coming days.
Recent reports and satellite images show increased activity at a Russian military base in Syria. Military aircraft have been seen departing, and officials expect more equipment to be removed in the coming days.
Russia is actively withdrawing military assets from Syria following the fall of President Bashar al-Assad to rebel forces last weekend. A video released on December 13th showed a convoy of over 150 military vehicles, some bearing Russian flags, moving north on the M5 highway between Damascus and Homs. The footage highlights a well-organized withdrawal, reportedly part of a deal allowing Russian forces to exit Syria in an orderly fashion. Satellite images from Mahar Technologies further confirmed increased activity at the Humanitarian air base in Latakia, with large Antonov AN-124 cargo planes seen being loaded with military equipment. On December 14th, additional activity was observed as cargo planes and helicopters landed at the base, while other planes departed for Libya. A Syrian security official stationed near the base confirmed that further Russian departures were expected in the coming days. Despite the withdrawal, the Kremlin has emphasized the importance of maintaining its military bases in Syria, including the Humanitarian air base and the naval facility in Tartus, its only Mediterranean hub.
Severe fuel shortages have forced drivers in Damascus to wait in long lines at gas stations. Syria's new rulers, who took power after toppling President Bashar al-Assad, now face the urgent challenge of restoring basic services.
Long lines of cars stretched around gas stations in Damascus as a severe fuel shortage entered its 11th day. Many drivers have been unable to work, with the scarcity of fuel disrupting daily life across the city.
There has not been fuel for 10 days, so I did not work. Today there is fuel, so I came to refill.
Years of conflict and sanctions have left infrastructure crippled and the economy in tatters. Citizens struggle to find basic commodities, forcing some to use alternative fuels or wait indefinitely for promised supplies.
Now there is no gasoline, so I fill a gallon with fuel oil. We were told that there will be gasoline in the upcoming 2 days so that the circuit rotates.
With cities in ruins and resources stretched thin, many Syrians question how quickly relief can come. The path to rebuilding is long, and stability remains uncertain.
Once an exclusive retreat for Syria's most powerful family, the Assad summer resort is now open to civilians. It offers a glimpse into a past that many are eager to leave behind.
Syrian civilians visited what was once the Assad family's exclusive summer resort, following the toppling of Bashar al-Assad after a 54-year rule and a 13-year civil war. The resort, located in Burj Islam, features a white villa with balconies overlooking the Mediterranean, a private beach, gardens and walking paths now reduced to shattered glass and damaged interiors. A citizen who cycled 40 kilometers from Latakia expressed his emotions.
I can't explain how this is. It's enjoyable. I think I feel freedom for the first time in my life. I can't believe my eyes. They built something we didn't see in all my life, our life in Syria. You know, did you see the streets in Syria? All are bad.
Displaced Syrian Turkmen forced out when the resort was built 50 years ago walked through the site for the first time.
A few hours after Assad fell, we came in. We don't want these views, these beautiful places, to be damaged.
The resort, once a secluded space of power for Syria's ruling family, now lies abandoned, its ruins reflecting the profound changes sweeping through the country.
In Jordan, key regional and global powers are working to influence Syria's future. Longtime allies and neighboring countries are expected to play a crucial role in shaping the outcome.
Senior diplomats from the United States, Turkey, the European Union and Arab nations convened in Jordan to discuss Syria's future. The meeting follows the urge from global and regional powers maneuver for influence of the government that will replace ousted President Bashar al-Assad. The outgoing Biden administration has begun reaching out to the rebel groups that led the successful assault on Damascus, including Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken traveled to the region to rally support for guiding principles for Syria's political transition. Washington hopes these principles will emphasize protecting minority rights. Turkey, which has long backed Syrian opposition forces, is expected to play a major role in shaping the country's post-Assad future. Meanwhile, Jordan hosted the talks in Aqaba, but key Assad allies, Russia and Iran, were notably excluded from the gathering.
The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has emphasized the need for the United Nations to play a central role in Syria's transition. His remarks came during a high-level meeting in Aqaba, Jordan, with the UN Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen.
The U.S. Secretary of State highlighted the challenges facing Syria in the wake of recent rebel victories, which have significantly altered the country's political landscape. Blinken spoke during a meeting with Pedersen in Jordan on Saturday, underscored Washington's commitment to a Syrian-led transition guided by UN Security Council Resolution 2254.
Determination to work together to support a Syrian-led transition where the United Nations plays a critical role, particularly when it comes to the provision of assistance, to the protection of minorities, to all the work that needs to happen going forward. So I look forward to this opportunity to compare.
The UN Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, called the urgency for humanitarian aid and political inclusivity, calling for immediate efforts to stabilize the country and prevent the collapse of state institutions. Blinken's Middle East tour aims to align efforts with regional allies, ensuring a united approach to Syria's future with inclusivity and minority protections at the forefront.
In the United States, an appeals court has turned down TikTok's attempt to delay a federal law that requires the platform to be sold or banned. The ban, set to start in January, comes after President Joe Biden signed a law demanding the app to be sold due to security concerns.
A blow to the Chinese social media app. A U.S. federal appeals court has rejected an emergency bid by TikTok to temporarily block a law that would require its Chinese parent company ByteDance to either sell the social media platform or face a ban of the app in the United States. The law, which is to take effect on January 19, could mean TikTok will be shut down for its more than 170 million American monthly users. This comes after US President Joe Biden signed a law in April requiring TikTok to divest following widespread concerns from lawmakers about national security issues involving the app. In a post on X, TikTok says it plans on taking the case to the Supreme Court. However, it still remains to be known whether the Supreme Court will take up the case.
Chinese researchers have developed a high-tech security robot designed to improve public safety. The robot aids police by capturing suspects and performing effectively in harsh environments.
A spherical robot security guard, capable of operating on land and water, has been deployed alongside police in a busy commercial district of Wenzhou City, Zhejiang Province. This high-tech innovation is a part of China's push to integrate advanced technology into public security.
Its biggest feature is that it can be used in a confrontational environment. Even if it is being hit at close range, it will not lose its function. It can improve the public security officers' on-site handling capabilities in extreme environments or when there are crowds of people.
Equipped with cameras, flashing lights, and net guns for capturing suspects, the robot has drawn attention for its futuristic design and versatility. Its amphibious mobility allows it to access areas traditional patrol tools cannot reach.
Its maximum speed is 35 kilometers per hour. If the operator pushes the lever very hard, its instantaneous acceleration can reach the maximum speed in about 2 seconds.
Developed by a Zhejiang University research team led by Professor Wang Yu, the robot is designed for harsh and hazardous environments, such as corrosive, radioactive, or explosive conditions.
One of my PhD students came up with a great idea. Based on the control of the momentum wheel, we add motion control with induction motors onto the robot, greatly improving its motion performance. The spherical robot is also equipped with LiDAR and cameras. In open areas, it can achieve a near L4 level of unmanned driving.
It can adapt to various tasks, from counter-terrorism to bird control at airports, by mounting different devices. After overcoming design challenges like stability and route control, the robot is now fully operational.
In Italy, the city of Rome is embracing the festive season as the country prepares for the Jubilee year set to begin on Christmas Eve. This year's theme focuses on sustainability, showcased through eco-friendly decorations in the city center.
The festive season is here, and it's all sparkling lights in Italy's capital, Rome, as the city gears up for the Jubilee year. This year's decorations take on the theme of sustainability. Low consumption lights and minimal CO2 emissions define the project. Under the night sky, the street of Via del Corso transforms into a 2-kilometer-long canopy of lights. The display features 49 water drop motifs, symbolizing the importance of this universal resource, and luminous globes representing global unity and solidarity, a nod to the Jubilee's themes of hope and togetherness. This year's centerpiece is a towering fair from Lombardy. Approximately 5,000 people gathered to witness the tree's inaugural lighting.
That's all from us here in Baku for now. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to AnewZ.